My name is Marcus Vinicius. I'm a doctor, a businessman. I'm the owner of a large-scale hospital. I rapidly grew in my career, and this was followed by a lot of financial benefits. But I wasn't a happy person. There was a void inside me. I'd do what I could to stifle this void, to fill the void with whatever I had at hand at the time. Having fun, women, because I was always very sexually active. I would regularly go places, to nightclubs, and lived a flamboyant life. Amid all these difficulties, trying to get my life together, I started to appeal to a series of things. I turned to certain beliefs, sought out cults. I participated in witchcraft rituals and a series of other things. Sometime later, I joined the Freemasons also in an attempt to fill this emptiness that I had, women, and I got involved in drinking cigarettes. I used to smoke a lot. I ended up smoking 3 or 4 packs a day. I was concerned with having brand new cars, good-looking clothes, brand name stuff. I would frequently throw parties, and those parties would always be ostentatious. I wanted to show everyone the stuff I had acquired. It was all just for show. But things kept getting worse. And then in 2018, I had been melancholy and was feeling bad. And since I was a doctor, I discovered a serious illness, a carcinoma in my esophagus. Almost died. But I kept on going. And then at this time, right there, you see, it was carnival, and we joined the parade. I had recuperated from the sickness, but I think my face says it all here, right? My face shows that I wasn't happy. You see the fake smile, sunken eyes, puffy eyes, right? And that's what happened to me. I wasn't living a life of fulfillment. I wasn't a happy person. And so I began to say to myself, what I really need right now is a speedboat. So I bought a boat and went out on that boat and tried to have a lot of fun. And when I got back home, I'd say, what now? I've got a speedboat, but I'm not happy. I was always searching for more. I was always buying more and feeling less than. In 2018, I met the wife I have today. How many times I argued with her over nothing and got physical with her in my own house. I was so that woman had so much patience because I was a really bad case. And it was through her that I ended up finding the strength to make all these changes. I remember one day I went up to her and asked, where are you going to spend New Year's Eve? Thinking she would choose some hotel or resort or something like that. And she turned to me and said she wanted to spend it in the Temple of Solomon.
We were taking time away from each other, and I felt lonely. I knew I needed to go back. When he asked me where I wanted to spend New Year's Eve, I said I wanted to go to the temple.
At that time, it sounded like a really bad idea. I couldn't understand. How could she, at a time for partying, New Year's Eve, want to spend it in the temple, in a church? And I couldn't understand that at all. I had a series of prejudices against the universal church, specifically because of things I remembered from the past. I'd never known, I'd never spoken to Bishop Macedo, but my prejudice was based on things I'd read, on what I'd heard. I began to even invent stories and invent lies. I'd say that Bishop was a criminal, that he was a thief, even though I assume that Bishop's going to hear all that I'm saying, right? And I know that I'm not just asking forgiveness from you, but from God for saying all these things about a man of God. That's what I've done. But even with all my prejudice, my wife's request, I guess it was a matter of my own needs, because the personal pain that I felt inside of me, the feelings of emptiness, emotional emptiness, overrode my prejudice, and I ended up going.
The first minutes of the new year, we consecrate our lives to you. We give you everything.
And what caught me by surprise was that I liked it. It was as if I had suddenly washed out my eyes with some cleansing substance. And my life became clear. It was as if someone had given me a slap in the face and said, get up, wake up to life. God doesn't want this for you. And that's when I was won over. It put an end to the idea that God was emotion. No, God is reason. God is intelligence. God uses the mind. And that's how I began to lead my life. I started changing. I changed the way that I behaved. I changed the way I spoke. Because if I had given a talk years ago, you would only hear me say, bleep, 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 because everything would have been censored. I began to be very concerned about who I was going to be from that moment on. Because my life is short, but it has an eternal soul. And that's when I began to worry about whether or not I had the Holy Spirit inside of me. And I began to think, how am I going to get the Holy Spirit inside of me? It was through reading. I started to make a habit of reading the Word every morning. I'd read the Word. My aim was to become a child of God. And then the campaign of Israel came along. It was the campaign of the children of God. The day of the campaign, I was determined to surrender myself. I gave all of myself there. I cleansed my soul. I got there and said, leave everything that happened to you behind and let's begin a new life. From the moment that I stepped off of that altar that day, a barrier in me was broken. I was closer to God. When the Holy Spirit came upon me, I thought I would cry, my body tremble, but I didn't. I didn't feel any of that. In reality, the proof, it wasn't something I felt. It was what I became. Today I have peace, I still have difficulties, I still have problems, but the way that I face these problems is completely different. I wasn't the only person to benefit from this change. Everyone around me has benefited from it. My wife, I have a relationship with her now that is so happy. We have a happy marriage together.
He's a different person. He's a different man. He's a man of principles, of character, a man of his word.
People who I manage in the hospital, I interact with them very well. And they notice that I'm different. Since the Universal Church is also there right with me, the chaplains of the church are there with me every Tuesday and every Sunday. We've opened the door to them. And just by knowing that what I'm saying here could help other people to find the way, just like I found the way, is so gratifying. I want to reach you who might be blind like I used to be, as blind as I was. Because in reality, the worst blindness that exists is spiritual blindness. So just the fact that you're a doctor, a lawyer, an engineer, that you're in a high socioeconomic level doesn't make you any different from anyone else. That doesn't put you on the path to heaven. So stop being an idiot. Excuse my language, because I was an idiot. Stop being an idiot and embrace him. Put yourself into the hands of God before it's too late, because his hands are stretched out to you. You've got to hold on to them and let him lead you, and God will lead you for eternity, just like he did for me.